Hi, Lee Phillips. Yeah, I'm an attorney. Don't hold that against me. Want to talk to you about avoiding the family fight. I had a friend who was a lawyer, and he always said that the greed of children, he called it the avarice, but the greed of children rises to its maximum at the death of a parent, which I frankly find is true. Things go wacko when mom and dad die. So how do you avoid the family fight when mom and dad die or when you die? Fights with your kids. Couple of things you can do. One, you have the living revocable trust and avoid probate. And the funny thing is, if I can avoid the time and the frustration and the money and stuff of probate, then things seem to go a lot smoother. People start to get upset when this thing is drug out for 10 years. Probate, we avoid it with the living revocable trust being properly funded. That means it has to own the assets that are required to be owned by the trust in order to avoid the probate. So one, have the living trust, avoid the probate. Two, get rid of the dollies and the doilies. I can divide up a bank account 5 ways, right even with each one of the kids, no problem. But there's only one dolly and only one doily, as I call them. I've seen the fight over the Parcheesi board that the kids played every week with mom and dad at the family gathering. I've seen the fight over dad's class ring, and that was a big time judge. He died and left the class ring, and kids tore each other apart. So there are things that you have that are of value independent of the monetary value. Those things you have to distribute. You can do it in a will, particularly if the will has a provision in it that says that you can attach something to it and have a list of items that are distributed through the will. Or you can do it in a living trust. You can name the items specifically in the trust, or a lot of trusts will allow you to attach what we call a schedule or an exhibit to the back of the trust, which has all of the dollies and doilies listed on. You just need to be able to list the item and then say who gets it. Now, you may not make the right choice in that discussion or in that gift to the child, but that's okay. If the kids can straighten it out, that's fine. But if the kids can't straighten it out, one kid didn't steal it from the other kid and screw them. You made a mistake. And I tell my clients all the time, kid comes in, mad and beans at mom and dad because they didn't leave him the whatever it is. I say, fine, go out and jump up and down on top of their grave. Yell at them all day long, I don't care. So you make the decision and you get rid of the dollies and the doilies. And like I said, there aren't that many of them in your house. It's your diary, it's the pictures, it's the tatting that great grandma did. It's the furniture piece that you made. It's the fishing pole that you made. It's the fancy quilt that mom made. These are the things that people fight over. They don't fight over the big screen TV. My credo is, if you can buy it at Walmart, I don't care about it. Very seldom does it have any inherent value other than the monetary value of it if you can buy it at Walmart. And that's not what the kids are going to kill each other over. So you need to get rid of these things in order to avoid the fight. And that's where the fight comes. You need to make out wills. You need to make out trusts. Particularly if there are minors, children. You need to make sure that your kids make out a will that says who's going to raise the grandkids after the kids get killed. Because the family is going to fight over who raises the grandkids. And you're going to want to raise them, but the court's going to make that decision unless mom and dad nail it down. And we've talked about that in other YouTube videos. So avoiding the family fights, you need to decide who gets the dollies and the doilies. Make sure we don't go through probate, have that frustration. Make sure that we can find the accounts and stuff. Make a list of things. It's going to really help the kids to make a list of the passwords. No, they're not going to fight over it, but the more time and frustration that builds up and the cost that builds up just goes bonkers with the kids. I remember a case, there was a family had a cabin. One of the kids wanted the cabin, and it was in probate, and it had been in probate for years. And the one son called a meeting on the cabin. All the other siblings showed up for the meeting on the cabin. The kid pulled out a gun, killed them all. The whole family. Gone. Over a cabin. The kid who did the killing, and he wasn't a kid, he was a 50-something-year-old man. He was killed by the cops as he was fleeing in another state. So the whole family was gone. If mom and dad had avoided the probate, nailed down exactly who got it, maybe the son wouldn't have been as mad, at least not mad at his siblings. He could have been mad at mom and dad, but there's a big difference there. They're dead. So this is Lee Phillips, and I'm talking about how to avoid the family fights after mom and dad, or after you die, and leave things to the kids.